This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so this is the agenda for today. And after LoadRunner, and okay, let me add one more point here. That is going through LoadRunner course content. Okay, so the agenda for today, okay, is what is performance testing, LoadRunner architecture, example of script recording and replay, the LR course content, and then question and answers. Okay, so let's get started with the first point from the agenda, that is what is performance testing. So performance testing basically is a part of software testing. At least most of us know this particular concept, right? I mean, concept in sense, this particular thing, like performance testing is part of software testing. But where exactly software testing is coming from? So there is something called software development lifecycle. Okay, so every project or every application which needs to be developed from scratch should undergo these phases, right from planning, analysis, right, design, implementation, testing, and maintenance. So these are the different phases in the software development life cycle. Okay, so every application which is being developed, okay, will have to go through these phases. Now what are these phases? Let me quickly write. So first one is planning, second one is analysis, okay, third one is design, okay, then we have implementation, okay, then we have testing, and then we have maintenance. Okay, so every application, not only mobile application or whatever it is, every application has to go through these phases. Okay, this is called software development life cycle. Now within this software development life cycle, testing is one of the phase. Okay, that means once the planning is done, design is completed, development is done, then obviously testing will happen, right? So in this testing phase, the performance testing will come into picture. Within this testing, we have uh, functional testing and non-functional testing again. Okay, so let me share this slide quickly. Okay, so within testing, we have functional testing and non-functional testing. So functional testing is something where we verify or test the functionality of the application. Okay, for example, let's say you have purchased a television. So if you want to test the functionality, what you do, you just turn on the television, you increase the volume, decrease the volume, you do different do different kinds of activities on that, like you change the channels, you go to menu options, you select different options within that, you try to analyze how it is working, what is the functionality of that, right? The TV and the remote combination. So testing the functionality means we are actually testing the core functionality, like for what purpose it is developed, we are testing that. But we have non-functional testing as well, which is more about testing some of the non-functional aspects like performance, security, etc. Okay, so in the functional testing, we use some tools like in terms of regression, we use some automation tools like Selenium, UFT, etc. Right? In non-functional testing, especially with respect to performance, we use some important tools like LoadRunner, Jmeter, etc. There are some other tools available in the market, but most widely used tools are LoadRunner, Jmeter. Okay, so I'll tell you one more example. If you take an example of a lift, okay, so there is a lift, and if you want to test the functionality, so what you do, you go inside the lift, and then you let's say you press a 3 button, okay, a 3 button, that means the lift has to go to 3rd floor. Now when you press 3 button, and if the lift is going to 3rd floor, and that means the functionality is working fine, right? And if you press 5, it should go to 5th floor, that means the functionality is working fine. But when it comes to non-functional, especially performance, it's not about whether the lift is, it's not only about whether the lift is going to the 3rd floor or the 5th floor. It's all about how fast it is going to 3rd floor and 5th floor. Okay, when it comes to performance, it's not only about whether it's going to third floor or fifth floor, but we also look into the main aspect, that is how fast it is going to the third floor and fifth floor. Okay, now there is one more important point. If you are alone in that lift and if you press third 3 button and the lift is going to the third floor, okay, very fast, that's fine, but that is not called the actual performance. That is not called the testing of actual performance, right? So what you need to do is you need to test the lift with maximum load on it. For example, within that lift, let's say if 10 people we can accommodate 10 people. Okay, that means 10 people can use the lift at a time. So when 10 people are on board, how fast it is going to third floor, how fast it is going to fifth floor. Okay, that is where the performance testing is coming into picture, right? So we are the performance testers are more interested in checking the behavior or performance of the that particular application. I've just taken the example of a lift, but when it comes to software, we generally deal with software applications, right? So here also we are not much interested about the functionality part. Okay, we are more interested about checking the performance of the application. Checking the performance of the application. So this is the main difference about functional testing and non-functional testing. Okay, then there is one important point which needs to be discussed. That is why we need to go for performance testing. What happens if performance testing is not done? Why it is very important? So basically, if you are not testing the performance of an application, what can happen? Worst case, what can happen? One second. Okay, worst case, what can happen if the performance is not tested? Okay, so in that case, the applications might face problems like slowness, right? So for example, if you are trying to book a train ticket and the application using which you're trying to book a train ticket is it's not tested for performance, then what can happen? Obviously nobody will be able to book a train ticket, right? Nobody will be able to book a train ticket, right? So the performance of the application is very, very important. It is equally important to the functionality. For example, you are using Gmail application. So when you are using Gmail application, you launch it the Gmail and you entered username and password, and then you clicked on login button, right? You entered username and password, you clicked on login button, and then when you click on login button, what should happen? It should navigate you to the home page, right? That means the email page. Of course, it is navigating to home page. Let's say it is taking 2 or 3 minutes. Is it okay for you? No, right? It should not take 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so it should take like 2 seconds or 3 seconds for the login to be successful, and the user should be able to navigate to home page, right? So if it is taking 2 minutes or 3 minutes, what will happen? We will switch over to some other email provider, right? So that means here that there is a chance that the business might lose their users. Okay, I don't know how many of you remember, maybe in 2013 or 14, one of the big e-commerce giant, they announced some big sale. I think approximately around 8 or 9 years ago, they announced a big sale for the first time. What happened at that time? So everyone were ready to buy some products from the e-commerce website, and then because they announced a big sale for with so many offers, and then what happened? The as soon as the big sale started, the application crashed. The application crashed. So what does that mean? So that means they didn't test the application for performance properly. Okay, so normally if 10 let's say normally 1,000 people will generally buy some products. Okay, on if they announce a big sale, what will happen? 10,000 people will buy, right? 10,000 people, that means 10 times more than the normal users try to access the application and try to buy different products. That means the application should withstand those many number of users. Okay, so here the primary goal of performance testing is to find the performance bottlenecks rather than finding functional bugs. Okay, so performance tester is more interested in finding out the the performance issues. Okay, so if performance testing is not conducted, then applications might face problem like slowness, pages loading forever, inconsistency, and further may result in business loss. Okay, that's the reason performance testing is very important nowadays, right? Right. So for every application, performance is important. If the performance of the application is not so good, the users are ready to switch to alternative applications. Nowadays, we have so many applications, similar kind of applications available, right? Even it could be in social media platform. It could be anything. Like we have different apps available. If one app is not responding well, not performing well, or not up to the mark, the users are switching to alternative apps, right? So that's the reason even business people are giving more importance to performance. And and the requirement for these performance testing opportunities will always be there, for sure. Okay, so whoever is making or whoever is trying to make their career in performance testing, I'm sure uh, they will not repent. The requirements will always be there for sure, because without performance testing, the application will never go to production. That means the actual end users will never use the application without performance testing. If that happens, then there might be a business loss, okay, which is even more bigger, okay, than the actual expense which is required for performance testing, right? So the client or business owner might not take that much risk, okay, in the current competitive world, right? So performance testing is very important. That is the main point, right? So now after discussing these two, like what is performance testing, why performance testing, if you want to summarize the performance testing in one line, the definition of performance testing in one line in our own words, so you can say that performance testing is performance testing is all about checking the performance of an application or behavior or performance of an application, okay, by applying some load. Okay, by applying some load. I gave the example of a lift, right? If the lift is going to third floor with one person, okay, like let's say if there is a one person who pressed the number 3 button within the lift, and it took like 4 seconds or 5 seconds to reach to third floor. If 10 people are there within the lift, how much time it is taking? That is important. That means the user load should be there. So without load, if the lift is empty and if it is going to third floor, fifth floor very quickly, no use. If the lift is full and if it is going to third floor or fifth floor within that time, that means in 3 or 4 seconds, that is a great performance, right? So checking the behavior or performance of the application by applying some load. By applying some load means, okay, so with those many number of users, you need to test the application. So without that load, you cannot say that you have done the performance testing. So we will discuss maybe in our upcoming sessions in detail again what is load, who will give the input to us, okay, with how many users we have to test. All these points we will discuss in our upcoming sessions again. Okay, so let me go to the next point, because we all have understood at least the basic definition in our own words, that checking the behavior or performance of an application, okay, by applying some load is called performance testing. Okay, so I can take one more example also here. Let me go here. Let me use one of the application. Let's say this is the sample application. So forget about lift now, because lift is an example which we have already learned. So now let's take this example. This is one of the sample application. Okay, of course this is provided by Micro Focus only. It's a vendor of it's owned, the Loadrunner is owned by Micro Focus, and they have given this sample application for us. Now I'll tell you one small difference between functional testing and performance testing here. Functional testing means, for example, I want to test the functionality of login. So if I want to test the functionality of login, what should I do? I should enter username and password here. For example, I enter username and then password. I click on login button. Okay, I click on login button. Here, I'm able to see the home page. That means the login is successful. That means the functionality part is working fine. Functionality part is working fine. That means, okay, the login is working fine. When I entered a valid username and password, I'm able to enter to home page successfully. But as a performance tester, I am not much interested about this. What is more interested for a performance testing from performance testing perspective? How fast we are able to navigate to this page. Okay, for example, if I sign off again and if I enter the username and password again and click on login button. So how fast, how much time it has taken to reach to this page? That is where the performance tester is more interested in. Okay, now you can ask me, sir, is there any specific time within that we have to navigate from one page to another page? Yes, we do have. According to the industry standard, for example, if there is a button, okay, let's say there is a button, this button. If you click on this button, it should go to some other page, right? For example, if I click on this button, it navigated to this page. Now this page should load, or you should navigate to this page within 2 to 3 seconds. Actually it is 2 seconds as per the industry standard. But in some projects, it's okay for 3 seconds or 5 seconds also, depending on the architecture. Okay, so the industry standard is 2 seconds. When you click a link or when you click a button, you should navigate to at the next page within 2 to 3 seconds. That is the industry standard. Okay, so hope you guys got some idea, basic idea about what is performance testing all about. Okay, we will discuss about the the clear definition, or you can say the textbook kind of definition, or the different types of performance testing we do in our next session. Okay, but for today I just want to give you some idea about what is this performance testing all about, or what the performance tester is more interested in. Okay, that's the first point in our agenda. If you go to the second point, this is about LoadRunner architecture. Obviously, I told you that there are so many tools available in the market, like LoadRunner, Jmeter, NeoLoad, Gatling. There are some other tools, but most widely used tools are LoadRunner and Jmeter. Okay, and in fact, LoadRunner is the benchmark tool for the performance testing. Okay, it's been there since ages, right? So, without wasting any time, let's go and understand how the LoadRunner architecture is, okay, and what are the different components that are involved in the LoadRunner architecture, how the testing exactly happens there. Okay, so let me open a particular slide. In this slide, I'm going to derive the architecture, okay, based out of some questions, right? I don't want to directly explain you each component, but we will take some questions as input, and from those questions we will derive the output also. For example, let's say there is a bank application, any bank application or any application you can take. Now, if I ask you to test this bank application with 500 people or 500 users, so what will you do? Can you bring 500 people and give them 500 laptops and make them sit at one place and ask them to log in and do some perform some actions, like transfer money from one account to another account, transfer money from one account to another account, download bank statement, pay credit card bill? So will you be able to bring 500 people, give them 500 laptops, make them sit at one place and ask them to access the bank application so that I can check the performance? Of course, you can do that, but it's very costly, right? Bringing 500 people and giving them 500 laptops is very, costly. But let's say that we have done that also. But let's say, what if the users are 5,000 or 10,000? Will you be able to bring 5,000 people or 10,000 people directly and make them sit in one place and ask them to log into bank application and test it, or perform different actions? Not possible, right? So for that purpose, we need a component which will simulate virtual users for us. What are those virtual users? Those virtual users also mimic the same actions that a human do. For example, those users will those users we are calling as virtual users. Okay, because they are also doing the same task what a normal user do on the application side. Okay, so for that we have a component that is called load generator. So this component is responsible to simulate virtual users. Let's say if the client is asking you to test the bank application with 10,000 users. Let's say the client is asking you to test with 10,000 users. Then what you have to do? instead of bringing 10,000 people, we can use this component which will simulate those users for us and do the same actions, right? So these load generators are also nothing but machines only, but highly configured machines. Like they will have a huge RAM, good CPU configurations, and all these things. Okay, so that why they need to have high configurations? Because they need to generate so many virtual users, right? Because they need to generate so many virtual users. Okay, that's the reason configuration will be high for these load generator machines. Okay, that means RAM, CPU configuration, all these things will be high. Okay, now we have a component ready which can generate or simulate virtual users for us, right? Then what will you do with these virtual users? You need to test the performance of some functionality. Like let's say for bank application, what is the basic functionality for any bank application? What is the basic functionality? Let's say transfer money. Transfer money is one of the important functionality. Then pay credit card bill is one of the important functionality. Download statement is one of the important functionality. So these functionalities we have to test for the performance with these virtual users. Then how can you test these functionalities? For those you need to have scripts, some scripts which can run, and test the functionality for us. So to develop those scripts according to these functionalities, we need to have one component. That component is called Vusion. That component is called Vusion, which we will see shortly, okay, in live. So Vusion is a component which is responsible to develop scripts, right? So scripts can be anything. When I say scripts, the first script, let's say I'm testing a bank application. My first script will be related to transfer money. My second script will be related to paying credit card bill. Okay, my third script will be related to download bank statement. Right, these are my these are my actions, or these are the actions that I'm going to perform. How? By developing scripts in Vusion. Okay, now you have virtual users ready. Now you have our scripts ready. Now it's time to execute these scripts. That means you need to have a component which will trigger the execution with these functionalities. With these functionalities, you need to trigger the execution. Okay, so there should be some component, right, which should trigger the execution. That component is called controller or performance center. That component is called controller or performance center. So what we should do is, when we have the scripts ready here in Vusion, we will have to upload it into controller or performance center and trigger the execution, okay, for these particular scenarios. Okay, okay, we will get some input like transfer money, we need to test with 100 users. Paying credit card bill, we need to test with 50 users. Download statement, we should test with 1,000 users. Like that, we will get some requirement from client. So based on that, you need to configure your scenarios here and run the execution, trigger the execution here. That means this component is purely responsible for creating the scenarios and triggering the execution. Okay, creating the scenarios and execution. Okay, so now we have three components ready. First one is load generator. What is this load generator? Load generator is a component which is used to simulate the virtual users, right? Then we have Vusion. Vusion is a component which is used to develop scripts. Then when the scripts are ready, we should have a component which should allow us to create a scenario and trigger the execution. That component which will help us in doing that is called controller or performance center, right? So these three components are done. Now when the execution is done, okay, through the controller, now you will have results ready somewhere, right? So for what purpose we are doing this performance test? To analyze the results and tell the client, right, how it worked, how the application behaved, right? So that means there should be some component which will tell us, okay, how the execution went. Like the execution went well or there were some issues. Okay, so when the execution is completed from the controller or performance center, there should be some component which should help us in analyzing the results. That component is called analysis. So this component analysis is purely responsible for analyzing the results. It's a actually it's a very good component. It will definitely help the performance tester in analyzing the results very clearly. That it provides so many metrics like different graphs. Okay, the vision in the results will be in terms of graphs also, so that everyone will be able to understand by looking at the graphs, like what happened. Okay, what were the scenarios for which there are some performance issues. Okay, when you say performance issues, from the very basic term, what we call it as, let's say, if you click a button, it should navigate to some other page in 2 or 3 seconds, right? Let's say it is taking 20 seconds. That is a performance issue, isn't it? So those kind of performance issues, this analysis component will be able to tell us clearly which scenario had some performance issues. Okay, and in fact, it can do much more than that with various metrics, okay, which we'll discuss in detail. Okay, so these are the different components. We do have one more component, I can say, which we call it as agent process, which we will discuss in detail in our upcoming sessions. So the agent process acts like a bridge between these two, the controller and load generator. So why it acts as a bridge between controller and load generator? Okay, what exactly it does? Okay, we will see in our upcoming sessions. We'll discuss in our upcoming sessions in detail, because of time constraint. I'm just giving you some high level idea about what is this LoadRunner architecture all about. So I'm sure you might have got some idea like how this LoadRunner works. What are the different components it has? Okay, so again, I'll repeat quickly. Load generator is to simulate the virtual users. Why? Because we cannot bring people directly and give them laptops and ask them to test at a time. Not possible. We need to have these ViewGen components to test different functionalities, different scenarios, right? When you want to test an application, in that application, there will be so many scenarios. And as a performance tester, we will test only critical scenarios. Okay, I'll tell you in our upcoming session like why we have to test only critical scenarios, why we cannot, why should we ignore the least important scenarios. Okay, we will discuss that. And then here we have one more component where we will upload scripts from ViewGen to controller, create a scenarios, right, and run and trigger the execution. And then once the execution is completed, of course we have to analyze the results. For that we have a component called analysis. We have a component called analysis, which will definitely help us in analyzing results better. And why analysis is very important component, as a performance tester, everyone will execute. Execution is not a big thing. Execution 1 day or 2 days training, you can execute. Scripting, okay, in 2 or 3 weeks, you can learn scripting also. But analysis, why analysis is important is, when you do the analysis, whatever the observations you are about to give to client, or whatever the results you are sending out to client is very important, because based on that only client will take a decision. Okay, whether whether the application should be deployed into production or not. Okay, that means you should give a sign off from the performance testing perspective, how the tests went, like the test went well, or did it go wrong, or something happened related to performance issues. So what exactly happened? You have to provide a detailed analysis. For that we have a separate session also, okay, which I'll tell you in the course content. So this is about the LoadRunner architecture. Now I'm going to record a small script, like 3 or 4 steps, okay, because it's a demo session, right? We are going to record a small scenario, like 3 or 4 steps from the sample application. Now, can anyone tell me what is the component using which we have to develop scripts? Based on our discussion so far, can anyone tell me? You can unmute yourself and you can tell me, or you can ping in the chat.
ViewGen.
ViewGen, right? Exactly. So ViewGen is the component using which we have to develop scripts. Now let's launch this ViewGen for today and try to record a small scenario. And let's see how it is recording, how the script is being generated, how the results are coming up when I run it again. So when you install LoadRunner, okay, you will get these components installed onto your PC. this one, and this one. Okay, in your personal laptops, when you install now, let's say whenever you, in our upcoming sessions, whenever you install, right? So trial version, right? So you install this Vusion controller and performance sensors. That means once you install LoadRunner, you'll get these three components. These three components onto your desktop. You can get it. You can get the shortcuts onto your desktop. Okay. If you're not able to see that, just go here and search Vusion. When you search, one second, I made a spelling mistake. Vusion. When you search Vusion, you'll get this. Okay, just click on it. It will launch the Vusion. So Vusion is a component which is responsible to develop scripts based on the functionality. Okay, actually client will only tell us what to test, what not to test, or what to ignore. Okay, client will say that, hey, this is my application and these are the important scenarios that you have to test. And then as a performance tester, we need to develop scripts for those important scenarios. For bank application, what are the important scenarios we assume? Like transfer money, paying credit card bill, download statement. Those are some of the important scenarios. Of course, it's not our assumption, but in practical also, those are the important scenarios, right? We all know that. Now, once you launch Vusion, this is how it looks like. So here you need to click on File and you need to click on New Script and Solution. Okay, and then this is a screen where you choose protocol. Most of the web applications, or in fact you can say the web applications, you should use Web HTTP HTML protocol. So select this protocol. Okay, why and all, what is protocol, we will discuss in detail again in our upcoming session. But as of now, I can tell you that the web applications basically go with this protocol called Web HTTP HTML. Again, it depends on the project architect and all, but primarily this protocol will be used. Okay, so let's say I want to save the script somewhere else. So let me save the script somewhere else. So let's say I'm going to create a new folder. Let's say I'm going to say, one second, yes. Okay, let's say I'm going to create a new folder. Uh, Already exists. Okay, let's do one thing. I'm just creating a new folder so that all our upcoming scripts and all, we will save it here only. So I created a folder in D drive, D scripts, and this is a folder. So in script name, I can say, let's say demo. For time being, I will give demo and click on create. So when you click on create, you will see this script editor. So this is where your script will be generated once you record the script. And this is a solution explorer where you have different options, which we will discuss in detail in our upcoming sessions. Okay. And then for today, I just want to record few steps. Like I have seen the sample application, like right. I've just shown the sample application, like the web tours application. Like we did launch, login and logout, right? The same steps we're gonna record again. Okay. So how do we record is by clicking on this record icon here. Okay, this is a shortcut available. There is another way also, but for today, let's click on this record icon over here. So let me click on this record icon. When you click on this record icon, this window will populate where you will get to see few details. For example, what is the this option you ignore for today. In our upcoming session, we'll discuss in detail. Okay, then here you need to provide what is the browser you want to use for recording. Of course, you might have different browsers, right? You see Internet Explorer, Firefox, Edge, Chrome. Now Internet Explorer is no more, no more in support, right? So we have to exclude this from now onwards. Okay, till previous few days, we have been using for some of the applications, we have been Internet Explorer, but we have to migrate to Edge or Chrome. Okay, from now onwards. So let's choose whatever the browser you want. You choose. Let's say I have chosen Chrome. Let's say you want to choose here. You need to provide the URL. So this is the browser, and what is the application that you want to record? That URL you need to provide here. Let's say you want to record an application called Isha Training Solutions.com. Then you need to give that URL here. For example, see here I have provided www.ishatrainingsolutions.com. Okay, for example, if you are recording facebook.com, you have to give facebook.com, but don't record that. Okay, it's not correct, it's not the right approach. No, don't record any live applications on your own. Okay, it will have some consequences, like you will not be able to record. First of all, there will be so many security layers, unnecessarily, you should not record all those applications. We have so many sample applications and couple of real-time applications also for our practice purpose. Okay, so no need to worry. We will be practicing on 4 to 5 applications separately. So here primarily we have to give the application URL. Okay, so let's say this is the URL for that sample application. Then for time being, don't do anything else. Just click on start recording. Remaining options we'll see later. When you click on start recording, the existing, if there are any existing instances which are already open for Chrome, it will display pop-up saying that we need to close all the existing instances. Of course, if you click on OK, it will close all the existing instances and it will launch the browser. So now you will see a browser, Chrome browser will be launched. You will see Chrome browser will be launched with the given URL. Whatever the URL I have given, right? So with that URL, the browser will be launched. Okay, with that URL, the browser will be launched. You see here, and then there is a movable window. There is a movable window here which comes up. Okay, I'll tell you. 1 second. Let me open that browser. It's going in. It's there in the. Okay, here you go. This is the browser which it launched along with the given URL. So this is the URL which I have given, and the Chrome browser launched it with this URL, right? Now this is the movable window which will come up automatically as soon as you click on start recording. It's a movable window, and you see some number here which keeps on increasing. It's a good sign actually. That means your tool or this Vusion is able to record the application successfully. That means whatever the actions you are performing, the tool is able to record, or generate the code for the action you performed. Okay, the tool is able to record the action that you are going to perform, right? So here, what we have to do here is, there are some other options, like here this is stop recording, this is pause recording, cancel recording. Okay, we will discuss all these things later, but one important thing I would like to discuss here is this one, insert transaction. So this is a very important feature over here which says that for every action you do, you first start a transaction and then perform the action and then end the transaction. So start by clicking this and then go and perform the action over here directly and then stop it. How to stop it? There will be one more icon over here which will be enabled as soon as you start. So 3 things you need to remember: start the transaction, go and perform the action, and then come back and stop the transaction. These 3 are important. Okay, these 3 are very important. So now let me start transaction. You have an option here, insert start transaction. Insert start transaction. So what is the action that I'm going to perform? That name I have to enter here. Now what is the action that I'm going to perform now? Login, because the application is already launched, right? Application is already launched. So what is the next step after launch? I have to log in, right? So let me give the name as login. Let me give name as login. Okay, so let me 1 second. I'll give L capital. You can give anything, but okay. So login and click on OK. That means I started a transaction. Okay, and then this option got enabled, which is stop transaction, which I'm not going to click on now. But before clicking on that stop transaction, I have to go and perform the action over here. I have to enter the data here. Let's say I'm going to enter Jojo. That is the username and password I entered, and then click on login button. I have performed the action now. Okay, I have performed the action. Okay, we just need to wait. So it's taking little bit time to go to next page because we are recording it in a different browser today. Earlier we used to use Edge or Internet Explorer and so on. First time I'm using Chrome here, so that's the reason it is taking time. In our upcoming sessions, it won't be this much slow. Okay, recording will be fast. Okay, now the transaction is done. That means the action I have performed successfully. Now after performing the action, what should I do? I should stop the transaction or I should end the transaction. So for that, I need to click this button over here. Why? Because login is done, right? So end that. Login is done, end that. Now, what is the next transaction after login? let's say I have to log off. So start a new transaction called log off. Okay, in few minutes you will come to know why we have to write the start transaction in transaction. So I have started a new transaction called log off, and then I'm going to perform the action directly on the web page, that is sign off. I clicked on sign off. Okay, now the application will be signed out, the user will be signed out basically. Okay, so let's wait for a few seconds. The logout will happen, right? The logout happened successfully. Let's wait for the page to display load completely. Okay. Okay, see the logout happened successfully. Now you can close the browser if you want. You can close the browser. Okay, you can actually close the browser and end the transaction here. Log off transaction, and then click on this icon called stop recording. That means I stopped recording. Now what will Vuegen do now? Vuegen is generating the script for us. Whatever the actions I performed, that is launch, login, and log off, Vuegen is generating a script for us. Okay, so this is a recording report which we will discuss again. But for now, let me go to the script editor. Okay, so this is the code which it generated. I will remove all unnecessary code for time being, so that we don't have any confusion so far. Let me remove all unwanted code. Okay, why I'm removing unwanted code, I'll tell you later. Okay, that is not required. Now observe this particular script carefully. Okay, so you see line number 18, it says lr underscore start underscore transaction login. So now you remember, during recording on that movable window, I have started a transaction by clicking an icon called insert start transaction, and then I gave the name login, right? So for that, I'm seeing this particular line over here. And then after performing the action, I ended that particular transaction, isn't it? You see line number 39, it says LR end transaction login. So this is start transaction login, this is end transaction login. Now whatever the code that is present between start transaction of login and end transaction of login, it all belongs to login functionality. Now this code belongs to login functionality. Why? Because it is present between start transaction of login and end transaction of login. Now if you can understand the logout part, if you see, I started a new transaction at that time with name logoff. You see that the code, corresponding code is here, line number 41, lr underscore start transaction logoff. Then you have line number 53, which says lr end transaction logoff. LR end transaction logoff. Okay, so the code present between the start transaction logoff and end transaction logoff is related to logoff code, logoff functionality. Now you got the idea why we have given LR start transaction, LR end why we have inserted a start transaction, why we have inserted an end transaction, because to generate or to split the code separately, to keep the code separately for each of the action that we performed. Why? Because I want to know how much time login has taken. I want to know how much time log off has taken. That's the reason I will create a separate start transaction and end transaction for each of the functionalities, each of the actions, I can say. Okay, now can anyone tell what is this code about? What is this particular code? Can anyone guess what is this code? Any guess this code? What is this code all about? Just
Script.
guess.
It might be a launch.
Yes, it is launch of the application. But for launch, you are not seeing the start transaction or end transaction. The reason is before that step itself, okay, when I clicked on start recording, okay, the browser launched automatically with the given URL. That means I did not get a chance to insert a start transaction for login launch and end transaction for launch. Okay, it automatically launched the browser with the given URL. So what I can do here is I can manually write that particular start transaction and end transaction. Okay, I can manually write it like this. You can only manually write like this. Okay, this is start transaction. Now where should I end the transaction? Can anyone tell me line number where I can write the LR underscore end underscore transaction? That means where can I end this particular action? That where can I end this particular transaction?
Last.
Which line number? Line number?
Line 15.
Yes, after this you have to write LR underscore end underscore transaction. Okay, so you can write it or you can copy paste from the login also, but let's write it. LR underscore end underscore transaction. So what you need to remember here is whatever the name you are giving in the login, the same name you have to write it in the whatever the name you are giving in the start transaction, the same name you have to give it in the end transaction also. Okay, ignore about this LR underscore auto. We will discuss in detail in our upcoming sessions. So now you have code ready, code generated for launch, for login, and then for log off also. For all these three, the code is generated. Okay, now if I run this, you will see the result. In that result, it will clearly say how much time launch has taken. That means how much time it has taken for the application to launch, how much time it has taken for the application to log in, how much time it has taken for the application to log off. So run this. How do you run this? Is by clicking on this icon over here. Okay, when you click on it, it'll run. That's it. Okay. So now it has to display some result. Let's see what it is showing for us as an initial result. So here you see how much time it has taken for launch, how much time it has taken for login, how much time it has taken for log off. That's the reason we are giving LR start transaction, LR end transaction for every action that we are going to perform. First step is launch, second step is login, third step is log off, right? So like this, we need to write. So launch has taken 0.547 seconds, login has taken 0.187 seconds, log off has taken 0.309 seconds. Okay, so these are the response times what we got. Now I told you, right, the standard industry standard is 2 seconds. 2 seconds or 3 seconds sometimes, right? So here we are getting response times less than 2 seconds. That means here we are getting numbers less than 2 seconds or 3 seconds, right? So this is good actually. So no need to worry if the numbers are like this. If the numbers are greater than 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 5 seconds, we need to inform the development team or the application team. That we will discuss in detail. So you got some idea what this ViewGen tool is doing, what exactly we are doing using this tool. We are generating a script for the business functionalities. Now, because this is a small application, there are only 3 steps: launch, login, log off. Now, if you want me to write quickly the number of steps for downloading bank statement, let's say you will launch bank application, right? Second step is log into the bank application. Okay, I'm just writing steps for the bank, one of the scenario of bank application, which is download statement. Then you go to navigate to your account. Obviously, you will have your own account, right? So navigate to your account like savings or whatever it is. Then what you do? You select date range. Like you want to download a statement from let's say June 1st to June 30. So that means you need to select the date range, right? Then what you do? Let's say there will be a button called download statement. So you say click download statement button. Then you log off. So these are the possible steps for the download statement scenario, isn't it? Now these steps you need to record. When they give you a scenario, you need to understand what are the steps that are involved by discussing with the developers or application team and so on. Then you have to record these steps in ViewGen and generate a script like this for each of the step. Launch one step, login step, navigate to your account, range it. Now what we are exactly trying to find out? How much time it is taking for launch, how much time it is taking to log in, how much time it is taking to navigate, how much time it is taking to select the date ranges, how much time it is taking to download the statement in PDF or whatever it is, how much time it is taking to log off. So this is how we verify the performance of the application. Now all these things we have to do with one user or multiple users? One user or multiple users?
One user.
Multiple
One
users.
user only.
No, multiple users in real time we have to do with multiple users, because if you test with one user, it's not called as performance testing. If you are, that means you have to test with multiple users. Now let's say in any bank, let's say what is the peak time of a bank? Let's say 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. At 11 a.m., let's say 500 people are accessing bank application. Now what we have to do from our end, let's say at 11 a.m. 500 people are downloading bank statement daily. Now, as a performance tester, what we should do, we should run these steps with 500 virtual users. With 500 virtual users, how do you run? What how do you give virtual users number? Where you have to give? What is how do we use controller for that? All these things we will discuss in detail in our upcoming sessions. Okay, so basically, I'm trying to give you a clear idea about what exactly we are going to learn. Okay, or what exactly a performance tester should do. Okay, so that is the concept I'm trying to explain. So hope you guys understood that what this Vusion is doing, and how we should record, and what are the steps that we need to follow. It depends on your application. Okay, so the steps that you need to follow depends on your application or depends on your project. Now we are done with these things. What is performance testing? What is LoadRunner architecture? Example of script recording and replay. Then comes LR course content. So obviously this is one important aspect, right? So obviously before joining any course, we all want to know what is the course content and what it will be covered, how long it will be, what is the timings, all these things you will have the questions, right? So very, very important LR course content. So now we will go to the LR course content. Let me explain, open the slides. So here you go. So first, we will start with architecture basics, and let me tell you, the number of sessions for these will be somewhere between 40 to 45. Okay, earlier the same Loadrunner course long back, we used to do with like 30 sessions or so. Now since last few months, or I can say or according to the recent trends in the IT, especially in the performance testing, we have added so many bonus topics and so many additional content, that is taking our session to 45, approximately 43, 44, 45 sessions. Okay, so the first session starts with architecture basics. Okay, like we have how the architecture will be, why we need to learn the understand the architecture. What is a server? Okay, what is the app server, database server? All these things we have to understand. Then we have to discuss about introduction to performance testing life cycle. Okay, and then we have to discuss about these important concepts uh, which are required for every performance tester before they actually start working on any performance testing project. You simply cannot go and open Vusion and start scripting or recording or do some scripting. No, you cannot do that. Before that, you need to do these activities for sure. Okay, at least the non-functional requirements. Okay, test plan. These are important things. We will discuss the same things. Then introduction to Loadrunner, installation, components, records and replay scripts, features of Vusion tool. Okay, and then we discuss about the best scripting practices in Vusion. Okay, because see, everyone can record and replay, but if you want your scripts to be according to the industry standard, you need to follow some scripting practices, good scripting practices. So we will learn all those best scripting practices in Vusion. Okay, like naming conventions, understanding the scripts, excluding unnecessary requests. Okay, learning important inbuilt functions. Okay, multiple actions, debugging options, recording versus replay, right? And then we then record some of the recording options. Then you have runtime settings. Okay, why these runtime settings? All these things we will discuss. Okay, then this is very important. The pacing, think time, right? All these are very, very important runtime settings. And then you have there are multiple options for recording, like HTML versus URL based recording. So we have one detailed session for this. Then we have checkpoints. Checkpoints are nothing but something like assertions. Some of you might be from functional testing or automation testing, right? So assertions means, let's say you clicked on one button, it navigated to some other page. Now, how can you guarantee that it navigated to correct page? let's say you clicked on sign off. After clicking on sign off, you should exit the application, right? You should sign off successfully. How can you guarantee through our script that you exited successfully or you signed off successfully? There, the checkpoints will come into picture. Checkpoints will ensure that you are navigating to correct pages. You are navigating to the exact pages. Okay. Then after that, very important point here, introduction to C language. Now most of you have a question that, sir, in this load runner, how much of coding is required, or do we really need coding? I simply cannot say no. Okay, if I say that no coding is required, no, I cannot say that. I cannot misguide you. I can say that coding is required, but at least basics are required, not the advanced level coding is required. So basics in sense, like these concepts like variables, data types, if statements, loops and conditions, functions, these are enough to write a custom script which will run for different requirements. So this basics of C language is very important. Okay, so we have like 4 sessions for this separately, because this course is not only targeting the guys coming from IT. I'm sure, let's say some of you guys are from computer science background. Now you guys might know these basics for sure. But what about the guys coming from non-IT background, or or completely new to IT? Because I don't want my participants to lag behind. Some of my participants to be behind from others. Okay, so that's the reason we have 4 sessions. Okay, and we will discuss in detail slowly to make them understand the basics of C language, which are very important to write your own custom code according to your requirement. Okay, so that is one thing. Then next thing, there are 2 or 3 concepts which are little bit I don't say advanced, but I say that are important for us. Like you want to read some data from some file, you want to write some data into some notepad file, you have to do those actions in your scripting at some point of time in your projects. So you should know that it's a simple task. We have separate sessions for that to understand, right? And then some inbuilt functions we will learn. Not only this, there are so many which are added, so which we will discuss in detail. And then you have one very important concept called correlation, which we will discuss for 4 to 5 sessions. Okay, that means 4 to 5 classes. Why it's very important? You can understand, because I'm taking it for 4 to 5 days, means you have to understand why it is very important. Without this concept, even if you learn all other concepts, you will not be able to develop the script. It is that important. Okay, so we will discuss for 4 to 5 sessions. Then you have parameterization, which we will discuss for again 3 to 4 sessions. Very important. If you want me to tell about parameterization in simple words, for every script we need to pass some test data. Like for example, in the recent script what we recorded, we entered username and password, right? So that is a test data for the script. That is an input what we are giving to the script, right? So if you want to give huge amount of input, like 1,000 data, 10,000 data, 5,000 data, how we will give? So we have to implement the concept of parameterization. So there we will discuss why parameterization, what are the different types, what are the different combinations, okay, and best practices. Then till here, the scripting part will be completed. Scripting part will be completed. That means when I say scripting part, only learning scripting is completed, but practice on scripting is not yet completed. Only learning the concepts of scripting is completed till here. Now, whatever the scripts we developed, okay, what we learn after that, we will have to learn the controller, okay, which is a component which is used to create scenarios or trigger the execution for whatever the scripts we develop. Okay, we should have some platform to trigger the execution, right? So that is controller. So here we have different options, like we have different types of tests also, like load test, endurance test, scalability test. Tomorrow is very important session where I will explain you clearly for the entire 1 hour. I'll tell you what is load test, what is endurance test, what is scalability, what is stress testing. Okay, so we can cover that tomorrow only. Okay, so and we will discuss like how to configure different tests. Okay, what are the different runtime settings here we can provide, different configuration options and so on. Then you have the once the execution is done, obviously the important thing is to analyze the results. For analyzing the results, we have different metrics. Some of the metrics I have mentioned here, but there are so many other metrics what we have to learn. Okay, so analysis is also very, very important. We will discuss for 3 to 4 days on analysis also. Okay, then we have identifying bottlenecks also. When I say identifying bottlenecks, okay, here, what do you mean by identifying bottlenecks? When you do a performance testing, you can see so many kinds of issues. When I say issue, that is a bottleneck. For example, when you click a button, it should go to the next page in 2 seconds. If it is going in 20 seconds, that's an issue. In performance testing terminology, that issue is called bottleneck. Okay, the term issue is also called as bottleneck. We refer to the term bottleneck here. So in not only that slowness, but we have different kinds of other bottlenecks also while doing the performance testing. So we will discuss all the different types of bottlenecks, real-time script, real-time issues, real-time challenges, and all those things. Then after that, you have analyzing results and providing observations. And here you see drafting email with all our observations to client. To be frank, you don't find this anywhere on the internet, Google, or whatever it is, because the content, the observations what you provide to client is very, very important. Based on your observations only, client will take a decision, right? So whatever you are drafting an email, whatever the email you are sending to client, we should have all the points included. Okay, it can be observations, concerns, how the test went well, whether the test didn't went well or didn't go well, whether it's a successful test, whether it's a failed test. We have to write so many points, so many metrics we have to add, attach. So for that, I have a separate session for drafting email with all the observations to client. Okay, so now then you have interview question and answers. This we will discuss for 3 days. Okay, 3 days we will discuss the interview question and answers. Okay, from basic questions to the advanced questions. 3 days, 3 hours, we will discuss continuously about the possible most frequently asked, most least frequently asked, all the possible interview questions. Okay, I'm definitely sure that you will be able to crack the interview after these discussions. Okay, I can assure you, if you're attending if you're attending an interview from Loadrunner perspective, I can definitely assure you that you will clear it. Like 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, still 5 years experience. Okay, with after completing this course at least. Then I told you, right, now whatever the scripting concepts we have learned earlier, those are only for learning purpose. Now after learning, we have to practice scripting. Okay, because without practice, you cannot say that you are a load runner tester, or you cannot say that you are a master in scripting. If you want to become master in scripting, you need to practice on multiple applications. So for that, we will do practice on 4 to 5 applications for sure, different applications, including our own website, which is called ishatrainingsolutions.com, which is specifically designed for practicing the performance testing scripts, or developing the performance testing scripts. Okay, so why we have to practice on multiple applications? Now you can ask, sir, why can't we practice on 1 or 2 applications? Why should we practice 4 or 5 applications? Because every application might have different challenges. So the more number of applications you practice, the more familiar you will be with scripting. The more familiar you are in scripting, the more easy it will be for you when you go to a new project. Because execution, analysis, anyone can do within 3-4 days of learning. But scripting will come only with practice. With sheer practice, you can master scripting. Okay, then only you will be. Without scripting, how can you upload scripts into controller? How can you analyze the results? For that, you need to write scripts, right? For that, you need to master scripting. You don't get much time to write scripts. You hardly get let's say you have to develop 5 scripts, maybe you will get 1 week. Maybe that 5 scripts also 1 week, I'm telling you. In some companies where where they have more time, like in some of the companies, they will give you only 2-3 days. So if you want to complete early, you need to master scripting, right? So that is one thing. That's the reason we are practicing on multiple applications. Then we will also discuss about virtual table server, which is some different component which we use for passing test data only, a different kind of component. Apart from parameterization, we will also use this virtual table server. Okay, so this we will discuss in detail. Very, very important from interview perspective. Also, this is very, very important. Okay, that is one thing. And apart from this, apart from this, these are the bonus topics that we are going to discuss. Why we are going to discuss about these topics? Because in the as per the current trend, simply learning LoadRunner tool will not help you much. It will help you, definitely help you, but they are expecting you to know little bit more apart from LoadRunner. So my participants should know what is that extra additional thing that they are expecting in the current IT industry. So in considering that, I have added these bonus topics, okay, which we will discuss in our course. So those additional topics are this fiddler and har file scripting. That is one thing. Then APM tools introduction, that is application monitoring tools like AppDynamics, Dynatrace. We have some tools, right? So in this course, we will be learning about AppDynamics and why we use, what are the different metrics that we capture from AppDynamics in live. We will see. Then we will also discuss about Jenkins. At the same time, we will also try to discuss about one second, yes, sorry. We will also try to discuss about GitHub also. A couple of points I didn't write. We will also try to discuss about GitHub and Jenkins, which are used for CI/CD. You all know, right? Nowadays, everything is continuous integration, continuous delivery in agile world. So they are expecting to know, to have some basic idea about Jenkins and GitHub. Now, what we will do, we will not only understand Jenkins, we will also try to trigger a scenario from Jenkins from our laptop. Okay, we can do that. See here, that's the reason I've mentioned triggering LoadRunner local scenarios from Jenkins. Now, additional session on one more protocol called True Client. Okay, there is another protocol called True Client. That also we will learn. Okay, then we will discuss something about thread dumps and heap dumps, and this load balancer algorithm discussion, and discussion on garbage collection mechanism. A little bit about these concepts also, because when you are attending any interview, performance testing interview, apart from the normal concepts, they are expecting you to know little bit of these. So I will try to provide an insight about these concepts and what are those exactly, how these are related to our performance testing. We will discuss in detail. Apart from this, there is one more concept I forgot to add, that is connecting to database also. We will also see how to connect to database, okay, from LoadRunner. We will see that, and how to run SQL queries from LoadRunner. We will see that. Okay. Now, apart from that, uh, you will also be provided with the recorded sessions of web services. Now, everything is not a web application, right? Sometimes there will be web services also. So, recorded sessions of web services. These web services sessions like 3-4 hours, I guess, max. So very easy. These are coming directly from Kumar sir. So Kumar sir, recorded those sessions. They will be providing you a lifetime access for those recorded sessions. You can go through, or in fact, if you have some doubts, you can ask me. We will discuss in our sessions also. No worries on that. So this is about the course content for the LoadRunner. Okay, I again repeat, there are some additional topics which are outside of LoadRunner, but still I'm adding into this course because uh, I want my participants to know what is the current industry is expecting from you. Okay, I want you to have most idea about of those concepts. Okay, and then attend interview on it. Okay, so that is one main reason. Now it's time for Q&A. Let me do one thing. Let me take your questions one by one. First, I'll take the questions from chat window. Sorry, Abhishek, due to time constraint, I had to go a little bit fast in the starting. But yeah, as per your comment, I just slow down. But trust me, from tomorrow's session, everything will be in detail, right? So I have to cover so many contents as part of our today's agenda. So it's already 15 past 10, that is 10:15, right? So that's the reason. Otherwise, in our normal sessions, we go very slowly, very slowly. You will only say that, then sir, go fast. Okay, so that is one thing. Thanks, Abhishek, for providing your input. I'll definitely take it as an input. Okay, Mallikarjun, mobile testing, there is a separate I can say separate sessions for those. What I request is, I request you to ping Kumar sir in the group. He's there in the group. You can ping in the group. Maybe he can guide you like what are those sessions like, or how you can access those sessions and all. But I will also try to inform Kumar sir right away that so how it's gonna be. I don't think that is part of this course. Maybe that's a separate course having some different sessions. That's the reason. So you can reach out to Kumar sir on that. Abhishek, total course duration is total course duration. I said right. Weekly 5 days, Monday to Friday, daily same time 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Okay. It will be around 40 to 45 sessions for sure. Like if you take 1 week, 5 sessions, right? So approximately 2 months it will take. Okay, so 2 months it will take, and every day after completion of course, after completion of class, I will give you additional time. I will be there, so you can post all your questions. That means, let's say we discuss one topic and you have some doubts. So that day, let's say tomorrow, in the next session. Okay, today's session you'll practice tomorrow morning, right? So tomorrow after session, you can ask me all the doubts. I will make you presenter. You can share the screen. We can fix all the scripting issues. Not only scripting issues, anything we can discuss after the session daily. Okay, I have allocated some time after our daily sessions to address all these queries from you guys. Okay, do we have any sessions on LoadRunner on cloud? See, LoadRunner, good question, Lucky. See, LoadRunner on cloud means that, let me go to this slide, because some of them don't understand what you mean by LoadRunner on cloud, right? So let me tell them what exactly it is in 1 or 2 minutes for now. So here, if you see, in this architecture, these load generators are machines which are on premise. On premise means they are at some location. They are some physical machines also, you can say physical machines mostly. These are highly configured machines. So now when you say LoadRunner on cloud, everything is same. Fusion analysis, running scripts, everything is same. But only thing is, instead of having these load generator machines on premise, you will have these load generator machines on cloud like AWS or Azure. Okay, so what does that mean? We need not maintain these load generator machines separately. Once we put these machines to AWS or Azure, that is the cloud environment, so the cloud team will take care of simulating the virtual users for us. Okay, so for that we have some workshops. Okay, live workshops happening every month. Sorry, Lucky. We have every month. Most frequently, we will have workshops. So I request you to join those workshops. Okay, it's free only. Everyone can join. So you can join those workshops, and there we will discuss about LoadRunner on cloud, like how to run scripts from LoadRunner on StormRunner, which is nothing but LoadRunner on cloud. Okay, I think that should be enough for right. So I hope I answered your question. Kamal, yes, you can use JavaScript instead of C. Why C? Because C was the first language which was part of this LoadRunner. Now, because C is there since ages, for every uh, problem or for every issue that arises from your scripting, especially from the scripting side or from the coding side, we have all solutions in place. You have so many forums. There are so many solutions, multiple solutions available for all the scripting issues, because that's there since ages. It doesn't mean that you should not use JavaScript. You can use, but what happens is in your real-time projects, 99.9% they won't prefer JavaScript. 99.99% still they are preferring C language, because it's been there since ages and they want to follow some uniformity. What do you mean by that? Let's say you are a team of 4 people. Now 3 people knows how to script in C language because they are there since ages. Now you came as a new member and you know JavaScript. Now you develop the scripts on JavaScript. Okay. Now what happens? Let's say tomorrow you are moving to some other project. Now when you are moving to some other project, the other team member should not face issue in understanding the scripts written by you. Of course, every day is a continuous learning. Even they should learn at some point of time. But as of industry standard or industry trend, still we are going with C language only, because we have solution for every scripting problem that arises. In JavaScript, we don't have much support from different forums. We don't have much support available online. Maybe we have to reach out to Micro Focus support, in most of the cases. That is the reason. Kamal, it's a different concepts. So you have a different option here. The question what Kamal is asking is, when we use multiple threads, does it open multiple browsers or so and so on? So actually, it's a different option. For example, here if you see the screen, here you have an option called run user as a thread, run user as a process. So we have to understand what is a thread, what is a process, why we have to choose this option, why we have to choose this option. So probably I can explain you in detail in that session. Okay. So I request you to park this question for our upcoming sessions for sure. Does performance testing comes under automation? No, automation, Namrata, automation is functional automation. I'm assuming that you are referring to functional automation. Functional automation means you have to use tools like Selenium, UFT, Unified Functional Testing, which is also the product of Micro Focus. The Micro Focus product is UFT and LoadRunner. Both are from the same family, right? So functional automation, no. This performance testing is having separate tools like LoadRunner, Jmeter, like that, right? Kamal, good question. So what Kamal is asking is, here in the report, I've said that launch is taking 0.5 seconds, login is taking 0.1 seconds, and log off is taking 0.3 seconds. What Kamal is asking is, does it include the response time of the backend, like means the database or any other components that are involved? Yes, it includes everything. But how do you separate is by using APM tools. If you want to know how much each component has taken, okay, how much of the time each component has taken, like how much time at the database level, how much time at the application server level. If you want to separate or if you want to differentiate, you have to use APM tools like AppDynamics or Dynatrace. Okay, so as part of this course, I'm going to explain you the AppDynamics, right? So I'm going to cover this concept there. Yes, Kamal, you will be getting a recorded session every day. You will be getting the recorded session every day. Okay, and it will be available for you to watch it lifetime. Yes, Mohammed, definitely. I told you, right, without performance testing, the applications cannot sustain in today's competitive world. Okay, if any of the application is slow, more than 50% of the users try to switch to alternative applications. So it's that important. For example, I'm not going to take any name, but if you see the recent social media platforms, nowadays so many are doing reels and all those things. Let's say you just scrolled up to see the another next reel. So if that reel is not loading, even though if your internet is too good, even though if the reel is not loading, what will you do? Instead of that application, you go to some other platform where there are also reels available. Simple, right? So users are not that the users doesn't have much patience nowadays. They always try to get super fast applications. Okay, when you click on it, it should load in seconds, right? That's how it is nowadays. That's how the competitive world nowadays. Okay, so no, Namrata, you need not learn test cases, test scenarios. Okay, Namrata is asking, should we learn test cases, test scenarios for performance testing? No, the business analyst or the development team will give you the list of steps what you need to record, okay, for your scripting. Okay, or they will give you a walkthrough. Like when you say walkthrough, you should schedule a meeting with the development team. They will navigate you through the screens, okay, of the application, like what you need to test, like click on this link, click on that button, select some value over there, like that. So that from that you can know what is the steps that you need to record. Yes, Gagan. Gagan is asking a very good question. I am new to the software field. Could I cope up with this course? So 110% I can assure you that you can definitely cope up. And one more important point I forgot to add here is, for all the guys coming from non-IT background, I have a separate session scheduled, probably the first weekend or the second weekend after the course starts, just to make them familiar with the terms and terminologies, okay, of the performance testing. Because some of you guys coming from IT might know the terms and terminologies, but the guys who are coming from non-IT background, they should not feel that they are not understanding the terms and terminologies. Let's say if I use the term bottleneck, Now the guys coming from non-IT background might not understand. If I use the term, load, some of them might not understand. So I will be scheduling a separate session, maybe the first weekend after the course starts or the second weekend after the course starts. There we will discuss the terms and terminologies of performance testing and how the project works. What are your roles and responsibilities in your project? Now we have waterfall model, agile model, how performance testing works in waterfall model, how performance testing works in agile model. We will discuss all these concepts in those extra additional sessions. Okay, so with that, you will be good enough to catch up with the other guys who are coming from IT background. And if you still have any doubts, okay, I will be available anytime. Okay, I'll tell you one instance in some time. Okay, after taking some questions, a few, it's already too much. No, it's already 30 past 10, right? Let me take about APM. APM like 2 days. I think more than enough, Madhu. Why I'm telling you is uh, from APM perspective, like AppDynamics, I will cover the topics that a performance tester will perform on day-to-day basis. What are the different metrics that a performance tester captures from APM tool like AppDynamics on day-to-day basis? Okay, like heap utilization, CPU utilization, dashboards, okay, garbage collection, all these metrics. How do you collect from APM tool like AppDynamics? We will discuss. Okay. Radhika Reddy, good question. Radhika is saying Jmeter is open source tool, right? Which is having a low. Okay. So which is better, LoadRunner or Jmeter? So as I said, there are multiple tools available in the market, but the most widely used tools are LoadRunner and Jmeter. See, LoadRunner is also a good tool, okay, but it is open source. I'll tell you couple of important differences, because okay, first important difference is LoadRunner is the only tool in the market which supports more number of protocols than any other tool. Okay, you can check with anyone. LoadRunner is the only tool in the market which supports wide variety of protocols. Okay, that is one thing. LoadRunner is a tool which is coming from the vendor Micro Focus. That means LoadRunner is owned by Micro Focus. When you have a licensed tool like LoadRunner, you will get continuous support from them. For example, you are facing some issue with the tool. Now, who should fix it? Who should rectify it? Then obviously the Micro Focus support guys will help us. That is secondary. The third thing is, all the banking and financial institutions, companies, currently they are preferring still LoadRunner over Jmeter for security purpose, because they give more priority to data security. Because Jmeter is open source, most of the banking and financial institutions, they don't want to compromise with their data by uploading it into some open source tools like Jmeter and so on. So that's the reason Jmeter has still good market. LoadRunner has good market in the in the current situation. Okay, and LoadRunner has some limitations, especially when you are running with huge number of users. Okay, limitations can be anything. You might see some issues, errors, whatever it is. Okay, but LoadRunner doesn't have much issues even when you are running with huge number of users. Okay, that is one thing. And LoadRunner, when you install it, when you get that tool, everything will be bundled into one package. That means once you install LoadRunner, you need not go outside of LoadRunner. Everything will be inside LoadRunner only. But if it is because of the open source tool like Jmeter, you need to depend on third-party plugins, third-party jar files. Every day, you should import plugins and all those things. That doesn't mean that I'm not telling that you should not learn Jmeter. I'm personally saying that learn both, but one after the other. Okay, market trend always looks nowadays is always looking for multiple tools. Okay, but please do not learn both the tools at a time. That is my personal request, personal suggestion also. Do not learn both the tools at the same time. You will end up not learning or not mastering both the tools. Okay, 50-50% you will learn, which is of no use. First learn one tool, master that tool completely, and then move on to the other tool, because having skills on multiple tools is always an added advantage in the current competitive world. So either start with LoadRunner, then learn Jmeter or start with Jmeter, then learn LoadRunner, but learn both of them. That is what I can suggest. Okay. Manogna, like it depends. If basically that non-IT session will be on the weekend, so I don't have specifically 1 hour. The session can go up to 2 hours, 3 hours also. So I'll try to cover that in one session, like 2 hours or 3 hours, because it is also a recorded session, right? You will get the recorded session. So all the guys coming from non-IT or IT, they can go through that recorded session. And whatever the additional session I'm telling you for non-IT guys, right? So that is not limited to non-IT guys. Everyone are open. Everyone will be able to participate in it, and it's their interest. Okay, so if the guys coming from IT, if they are interested to participate, we are most welcome. You guys are most welcome in participating in that. Okay, when the course will be started? From tomorrow only, Kamal. From tomorrow only, mostly you will get you will get an information in the group. So probably from tomorrow only. Okay, you'll get the update soon. So how many users we can run in free trial version of LoadRunner? 50 users you can run, MSK. Radhika, in software company, how many performance testers will be there? That's what Radhika is saying. It depends on company, Radhika. If it's a huge MNC, for example, I don't want to take the name. In the current company, where I'm supporting, it has around almost 250 to 300 performance testers. Okay, so it depends on the company. If it's a small company, less number of performance testers. If it's a big company, huge number of performance testers. And it depends on what are their products also. Okay, or it depends on clients. For example, if you're going into a service based company, they will have so many clients across the globe. If not this client, they will assign you to some other client. If not that client, they will assign you to some other client, but projects will always be there. That I can assure you. Okay, because I'm in the IT field since last 12 and a half years, right? So I know how each company works, what is the role of performance testing. So if it is not that important, or if the performance testing doesn't have that much importance, so obviously we will not be discussing this sessions at all, first of all, right? So it's very important. Without performance testing, no product will be launched. Yes, Madhu, I will be covering that also. Any other questions? I think I have answered all the questions from the chat window. Okay, I'm happy. I'm happy to answer. Okay, Lucky is saying he missed the last 5 minutes. Lucky, there will be a free workshops going on from our institute only on about StormRunner Cloud, that is LoadRunner on Cloud. So everyone everyone can participate in those free workshops. Where we will discuss about LoadRunner on Cloud. Okay, so we will let you know when that workshop happens. We will let everyone know. Okay, so that you can also join and understand how LoadRunner on Cloud is working, how is it different, and so on. Okay, so yeah, we have that live workshops frequently, or maybe once in a month or 2 months we will have, or if not, we will see how we can do it. 10 years, Abhishek. Okay, any questions? I'm sure I have answered all the questions. Okay, I didn't miss anything, not even a single question. But if I missed anything by mistake, please paste it immediately now. Okay, because it's already 10:30, right? 10:35. Okay, okay. So because I don't want any of my participants to leave the session without their question being answered by me. So that's the reason. Okay, so I hope I answered all the questions, and I personally thank you everyone for attending this demo session. We might be a little bit fast today, but because due to time, that's because time constraint. So from tomorrow, we will be discussing every concept in detail slowly. Okay, so thank you everyone. If you have any further questions, you can ping in the WhatsApp group. I'm available in the WhatsApp group, or you can reach out to me directly. Okay, I'll just say hi in the group. You can reach out to me directly. Okay, thank you, and I hope to see all of you in the upcoming sessions as well. Thank you once again to each one of you. Thank you. Bye bye.